Hey guys, welcome to Tales from a Retro Gamer, episode number 17. Once again, we have a special guest, so this is a very special episode. This is my nephew, Chris Davis. He's in from Japan.
Hey.
How you doing? Everyone. How's everything
doing
going?
Well. Still getting over jet lag. The older I get, the longer that lasts.
I can only be in an airplane about 3 hours. How long was your flight here?
Well, there was 2 layovers, but the total trip time from boarding airplane number 1 to getting to DFW was 25 hours.
That's a lot of time. We appreciate you coming here just for this
episode.
Just for
this I've been recovering, to get myself in gear for the episode. I've been recovering from the jet lag, and now I'm ready to go, and I'll fly back out tomorrow.
By eating lots of barbecue?
Eating a lot of barbecue, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Now, Chris was born in 1980 when I was around 13 or so. 81, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I was 13, 14, and I was really excited because this was like the first baby and then toddler that I'd really spent a lot of time around because my cousins didn't live near me, and the younger ones didn't live near me. They were hours away. So this was the first, I was the youngest kid in my family, and this was the first kid I spent a lot of time around. And we had so much fun growing up. I played ball with Chris. We played baseball, basketball. Played a ton of video games as you got 5, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah,
you started playing games. So what are some of your earliest memories of gaming?
Yeah, so my earliest memories of gaming at my own house were. My dad's mom, my grandma on my dad's side.
I should say this is my sister's son.
That's right.
Yeah.
So his brother-in-law that he mentioned in a previous episode.
And who I owned a comic book store with.
Is right. Is my dad.
There you go.
So anyway. Yeah, his mother gave me and others in the family an Atari 2600.
That's a pretty cool grandma gift.
Yes, she got addicted to Demon Attack herself and decided everyone else.
That's a pretty hardcore game for
a grandma. It really is for a Southern Baptist grandma.
Hardcore shooter for any grandma, really.
Surprising,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she got us a 2600. I remember playing that with Demon Attack, other games as well.
Excellent old school non-scrolling shooter, what they used to call a slide and shoot game.
Absolutely.
Very cool game. Kind of patterned after Phoenix, very similar.
That's right.
What other games do you remember from that time?
Well, 2 in particular. One that was a good game and I enjoyed a lot, Missile Command.
Excellent. Now, did you have the trackball or did you just have to play it with the joystick?
I remember on that.
Probably
I believe the joystick.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I don't remember having a trackball.
There wasn't any trackball in my life until the ColecoVision.
Oh, okay.
We'll come back to that.
Very cool. Okay.
Anyway,
but it worked pretty well with the joystick.
Oh, it worked fine. Yeah, I was able to.
You didn't know any better.
Yeah, I intercepted a lot of missiles.
Right. That's good.
Anyway, yeah, and then as a kid born in 1981, obviously when E.T. came out, I was super excited to play that game, and I tried to love it.
You tried?
I tried.
Now, I remember one time coming over to your house, and you were sitting there playing E.T. on the floor in the living room by yourself. Your parents were like in the kitchen talking to my parents and stuff.
Right.
And you had some paper out, and you were making a map.
Right.
You remember doing that?
Oh, I remember doing that, and that would lead me to our second big game system that was in my house as a kid. So why would I be mapping out my journey in E.T.?
Yeah, where did you get that idea? You were only like, what, 5 or 6 or something?
Like that, yeah. Basically, my dad had a Commodore 64, which he had,
very iconic computer system
absolutely. And at least, what he told my mom, at least, I think he got it to do his, college coursework on. But
right, and you can do your grocery list,
you can
balance your checkbook.
Yeah. But apparently, you can also play Zork and Ultima and other.
More importantly,
right. So I had watched my dad making maps as he was playing Ultima.
So would he use graph paper?
He used graph paper, and he was very detailed maps and sort of. I saw this, and I think E.T. was the first game that I played where that notion of sort of
back then those games wouldn't hold your hand and take you through them like some of the modern games. You were pretty much on your own, so you'd make your own maps.
That's right.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. So do you remember particular incidents when I was over at your house playing? This was in Abilene, I guess.
That would have, I think, been in Abilene. Yeah.
I was hanging out with your dad. We played games a lot. Now, when I would come over, we spent a lot of time playing Commodore 64. Now, I'm not into RPGs or any of those kind of games, so we would play shooters and maze games and stuff. I remember a particular side-scrolling shooter. I don't remember the title, but it was a really intense side-scrolling shooter that was kind of like Scramble or one of those games.
That's right. It was some kind of a side-scrolling shooter. And I remember watching y'all play that in one. There was a room that computer was set up in the corner of.
Yeah.
And one day you were over there, and I heard this kind of crash come out of the room, and I looked in, and you were on the floor, and the two pieces of our chair that were left over were on either side of you. You had sort of gotten angry and
the problem I was player 2,
right,
and it was my last guy, and he didn't have any ships left.
Okay,
and so I was getting real close to. We both had really good scores going, and I was almost about to beat him, and a bullet hit me or I crashed or something, and I kind of. Oh no! And it was one of these old school dining room chairs that they had dragged back there.
Yeah, keyword
and
was. And it was firewood.
I just shattered it and turned it into kindling.
Yeah.
Right. Well, great times.
Great times.
A lot of great memories of going to Lubbock and Abilene, where you guys live in West Texas.
That's right.
Playing a lot of Atari, a lot of Commodore 64, and your sister would kind of hang around sometime and watch. And
I think she did. Yeah.
Yeah. You were oblivious to her.
I was oblivious. Sorry, Kara.
A lot of great gaming times. Now, around this time, I had games obviously at my house. Now, what are some of your memories of coming over? Like whether y'all would come in from out of town, or then once you moved back here, and then y'all would come over. What are some of your memories of that?
Oh, very vivid memories. So this was when you were still living in your parents' basement. No,
well, we don't have basements in Texas. But
no, we don't.
In my early 20s, I was just sort of, I had different jobs, and me and your dad we started the comic book business and everything.
Right.
And I just was in no hurry to move out. I mean, I had my own room, obviously, had my video game collection. This sounds pretty pathetic.
Stevie Nicks poster on the wall.
But my parents were super chill, super low key. I had no reason to move out until I felt, like I really wanted to. I was in no hurry to move out. So I was
in no hurry for you to move out.
Yeah, well, we would have tons of fun. So when you guys, your family would come over, your sister Kara and your mom, my sister Kelly, we would all kind of be in the living room a little bit, maybe eat some dinner or whatever. But then after, as quickly as we could politely do so, we would journey back to my bedroom and play some games. What do you remember?
I mean, social protocol being what it is. Thank you, Nana. Delicious food.
Hate to eat and run,
but Contra's waiting for us.
Right.
Absolutely. So your room was in the back there, and so this is pre-Contra. You had at that time. Early on, I remember playing ColecoVision back there, right? So
I had. When I first got the ColecoVision at Christmas, there's an episode I have of Tales from a Retro Gamer, ColecoVision Christmas. Got that in '82. At first, I had it in the living room, and I would play it there. But I got tired of, like, if my brother wanted to watch something, or if he was in there playing the piano, which is pretty annoying, or whatever, or if it's at night when my parents are watching TV. So I moved it into my bedroom, which the TV I put it on in my bedroom was actually bought at a store where your dad worked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he worked at Videoland, and he got me the employee discount. I got a 19-inch color TV for the low price of $254 after employee discount.
Wow.
It's kind of expensive.
Wow. And where does that antique reside these days?
It's landfill somewhere. Probably with ET in the landfill.
ET.
Yeah. So it's in a landfill. So anyway, I had a cool 19-inch. Yes. That was a good size.
It was
basically arcade size.
It seemed big at the time.
So yeah,
for sure.
it was fun. And so I put the ColecoVision back there, and I had an Atari. This kid in high school had sold me his Atari 2600 and 10 games for $10.
Right.
In 1983.
Right.
And so I had the Atari back there. I had the Intellivision, but we mostly played the ColecoVision at that time because it was the hot new system.
Right. And I had the Atari 2600, like I already mentioned, at my parents. But we'd come over, and of course that was a step up.
It's pretty amazing to see Donkey Kong so arcade-like.
Oh, absolutely. Donkey Kong games I remember playing. I liked Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan, great. Oh. Really early adventure game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would basically be considered sort of a precursor to some of the side-scrolling combat games.
Right.
Because you would go along and you would punch apes and you'd fall in the water and climb stuff. And
absolutely. And
you'd be getting shot at and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
A really cool game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs would have been proud.
We can't ask the man, but let's assume that's true.
Let's assume, yeah. His estate, no doubt, liked the money they got from the residuals. Let's
absolutely.
Say that. Yeah. So anyway, we spent a lot of time playing ColecoVision.
Absolutely, and I have memories of these, early proto-adventure type side-scrolling games.
Yeah. Like Smurf Rescuing Gargoyle's Castle.
Smurf, yes.
And Cabbage Patch Kids, surprisingly enough. Do you remember that game?
Vaguely.
That was another platformer that was surprisingly similar to Pitfall.
Yeah, absolutely. These all are kind of Pitfall-esque things, but so Smurfs, actually, now that you mention it, that one sticks out in my mind because it was the first game you sort of showed me how this. I guess it's considered a glitch, but I don't.
A glitch / Easter egg
Easter egg, maybe an accidental Easter egg.
Softcore porn, something.
It was something, and my 6-year-old self was pretty excited to discover, thanks to you, that once you got to Gargamel's castle,
and you got in the room with Smurf.
If
you sort of
Smurfette.
Smurfette, I mean.
Right, Smurfette, the one female Smurf.
Which is really odd.
Yeah,
one girl and a whole village of men. Now, what were the dynamics there?
You'd have to ask a primatologist. I mean, what kind of societies maybe exist?
Going on.
But in any case, you would go in there and you would do something, or you'd go in and go back out.
And you left and then come back in. And,
right.
And what do you remember from that?
Well, Smurfette's skirt was either gone or sort of hiked up or something.
It's kind of like it disappeared.
It disappeared. So basically,
So that was the influence I had on you. That was.
Yeah.
So would you say, by and large, I was a positive or a negative influence on you
in general?
And growing up?
Oh, I'd say you'd have to have a ledger to calculate it out. But I'd say the positives outweigh the. It was the kind of bad influence where bad is good. Yeah, it was a good kind of bad. Yeah, absolutely.
Too many video games.
Too many video games.
Too much junk food. Too much candy.
Yeah.
Too many movies.
Too many movies.
But we really did. We had a great time. We've always had a really close relationship. And as we've gotten older, we do every time you come into town, we'll just talk and just like we are now, just BSing back and forth. Have a lot of good times. A lot of great memories of gaming. Now, one memory in particular was really funny. So when I went to high school in the early mid-'80s, I graduated in 85. The ColecoVision in 83 was just freaking massive. It was the cool system to own, and a lot of my best friends on the basketball team had it. I remember Eric Fresh had one, Brian Wood, my friends on the basketball team, and Bill Pritchett, one of my best friends ever, who I used to go to concerts with all the time. You may remember him from the Ozzy episode where I asked Ozzy if he wanted to play Pac-Man.
Right.
That was Bill. Well, Bill at one point decided he wanted to get rid of his ColecoVision. Now, you seem to think it was because he got an NES, or maybe he just whatever, he was onto something else, whether it was gaming or something. Actually,
women, girls.
Yeah, and he was into comic books and stuff.
Right.
I got him. He was reading Stephen King, and I sort of got him into comic books. And he got so obsessed with comics, he bought Amazing Fantasy 15.
Really? Wow.
The first appearance of some. I'm a really great influence on people.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And no cliches in this episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can edit that out.
So anyway, Bill decided to get rid of his ColecoVision system. Now, at the time, Bill and I both each had over 60 ColecoVision games. This would have been sometime in the mid-'80s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he gave them to me to give to you, right? I believe that's how it went.
That's right.
So I brought you this giant trash bag of a ColecoVision console.
Bag.
Well, a plastic bag.
Right.
It wasn't trash. It was treasure.
Yes.
Of a ColecoVision system and the roller controller, I believe, and the Super Action controllers and a bunch of games.
Right.
And you're like 6 or something crazy like that. Do you remember that? And what happened? What did you think of that?
I absolutely remember that, and I mean, I think I was overwhelmed. I believe there's photographic evidence.
Yeah, look at the picture we're going to show here.
Yeah, we can
of his just being. I thought maybe he would get excited or just be. Like a kid bouncing off the wall, but you were just kind of stunned.
I mean, overabundances of either joy or trauma can send you into just a numb state, right? I think I was in some kind of overloaded state.
I remember that. You were just kind of, and one thing funny about that, so Bill and I had most of the same games. We had the obvious ones, Cosmic Avenger, Venture, Mousetrap, Ladybug, Donkey Kong, Pepper 2, all the obvious ones, the great arcade ports and all that. Where there were 2 games he had that I didn't have. One was Illusions, this really obscure sort of Escher-esque maze game. And he also had Kubert's Cubes, which was an arcade port, but it was very rare. It was an obscure game for the system.
Right.
Really hard to find. Kind of just hard to find then, but really valuable now. Well, those 2 games were included as part of this. Now, when he gave me these games to give to you, of course, I looked through them and said it was. Well, I noticed there were 2 games I didn't have.
Right.
That you were going to get, this little kid.
So Kubert's
Cubes and Illusions. And I thought, I can just take these and put them in my collection. But my conscience wouldn't let me do that. I thought I would be stealing from a 6-year-old or whatever kid.
Right.
I cannot do that. My parents raised me to be honest and all that stuff. So I gave them on to you. I didn't even ask you for them because I thought, well, maybe someday you'll want those and everything.
Yeah.
Do you have any memory of Illusions or Kubert's Cubes, plus what happened to that major windfall that you got, this massive ColecoVision collection?
I am gonna say this at risk of your eternal sort of I don't know disgust.
I have Illusions now, but I still haven't managed to get Kubert's Cube.
You haven't gotten to Kubert's Cube.
So.
Well, we might have to go look through a storage building because that windfall.
It's
it's
out of sight, out of mind.
Well, when I left the country, I had to pack away all my stuff, and I think my parents at some point wrapped up my room and put it in a storage building. So,
right.
So but
it's either in storage or it got sold somewhere in a garage sale or something.
I will confess that until you told me this story, I had no memory of having either Illusions or Kubert's Cube.
Put those games in my collection,
Absolutely.
And you would have known no difference.
So I'd like you to reflect on
I
whether
took the higher road.
That's right.
Which 9 times out of 10, that's the way to go.
And on that higher road, there was no Illusions or Kubert's Cube. They were way down on the low road.
Indeed, there were not.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, that was a great score. Okay, guys. So in the comments, speaking of Chris's huge windfall, his ColecoVision score, have you ever gotten a massive collection of games given to you by a relative, by a friend, someone just wanting to get rid of their stuff? The closest thing I had to what you experienced was my friend Russ, good friend of mine. I see him every once in a while at comic book conventions now as a cosplayer. He gave me sometime in the late 90s, I believe, he gave me his complete Atari 5200 system with the trackball, with 12 or 15 boxed games, plus the Wico controllers with the attachment, so you can use really good controllers playing the 5200. Excellent score. Have you guys ever, just comment below if someone's ever given you just either a really rare, expensive game or a game that you love, or just this massive haul of games. Comment below. Also, if you could like this video, I'd really appreciate it. If you subscribe, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for being on. Now, Chris you're going to be on the next episode as well, because we have to keep going to the next era of games. That would be a little system called the Nintendo NES.
Oh, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, just something that changed the industry forever. We have some great memories of playing that together.
Absolutely.
With your dad, and just and also, speaking of dads, my dad was not a gamer at all. My dad was into sports and yard work and all that kind of stuff. Couldn't care less about video games. He did like TV and some movies and stuff, and he read the Reader's Digest and whatnot.
Right.
But gaming was completely off his radar. He had no idea what was going on with, like, when I got the ColecoVision for Christmas and all that stuff, clueless.
Right.
I never asked him to play a game even. I just thought that just wasn't compute. I never even bothered. There was no point. But you told me something that kind of blew my mind, and it has to do with the Sega Genesis. And so the next episode, we're going to talk about the NES, the Genesis, and all the way up to Japan. When you moved to Japan, why you moved to Japan, what gaming you've done since you've been there. Excellent. So I hope you'll tune in for the next episode. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for being on. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and thanks for watching. We will see you guys next week.
Just talk a little bit.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
This is Chris Davis. What be happening?
Okay, you're kind of like facing this way. If you want to like kind of turn this way a little bit, just.
What do you mean?
Turn that way? Spin that way?
No, it's turning this way. Like you look like you're like facing someone over there.
Oh,
so,
yeah. There you go.
Okay.
So now talk a little bit.
Hey everybody, this is Chris Davis. He was born in 1980. He was my first dadgum nephew.
Hi everybody, this is Uncle